Mark, welcome to the program. We are celebrating here, as you might imagine, and give your analysis, the historic ramifications here. And you, to your great credit, came on our program yesterday. You said, Charlie, it's either going to break to Trump or break to Kamala. I don't think it's going to be close. Mark, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words. My analysis is you're one person, good cop, bad cop, won the election for Donald Trump. Guys, you're not turning out. Guys, you're not turning out. Guys, you're turning out. Guys, you're turning out.
Mark, you're too smart, man. You're too smart for your own good.
Wait, you mean that I actually knew what I was doing, Mark?
You were not engaged in what I call the bluff. You were.
Oh, yes.
You were figuring out you got to get people energized and you got to get them on the bandwagon. And most campaigns have two different people do it. But Charlie Kirk wears two hats. Nicely done.
Like 8 hats, but yeah.
But 2 hats in this case. No, look, I know what it's like in a different realm to have people out there saying these people don't know what they're doing. You and a guy named Elon were engaged in something that people said these are amateurs playing a pro game, and you guys delivered. So congratulations to you. It's quite something to play at the highest level of one of the most competitive activities in the world of American presidential politics and succeed. And you guys are justifiably proud of that. And as I said, I know I was using a jokey tone, but what you did yesterday to use your megaphone was really smart, because getting young men to do anything but the thing they like to do the most, which I won't say, is hard to do. It's hard to do. I meant play video games, by the way.
It's the most fun. Yeah. This is Charlie's line. It's the most fun you can have with your clothes on, I will tell you. Winning a presidential election.
That's very kind, Mark. And yes, just to now that we can get the inside baseball, is that we knew what we were doing the whole time. The media, by the way, they carried the water for us. I said, how do I get them to write a bunch of articles that women are outvoting men, even though we're not that worried about it, but we want to spike male turnout and then trigger a right-wing influencer chatter to then be able to get an extra 1 or 2 points where we need it. I said, I know. I'm going to send a panic tweet because they're looking for copium on the other side, and we mapped this whole thing out. And next thing you know, they took the entire narrative. It was one of the #1 news stories.
I got so many reporters asking me.
I remember we talked it out, and I was like, okay, women are ahead, but this is early vote. This will balance out.
Yes, but I said we don't want balance. We want that 1 to 2 extra spike. And it worked. Then all of a sudden, every right-wing influencer was talking about that. So let me ask you about that, Mark, and thank you for the kind words. It's very, very appreciated.
And just to be clear, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night, and I decoded your secret plan all the way here in Manhattan.
Well, yes, but for whatever reason, the other side seemed to do my work for me. So it was because what they did is like, Charlie Kirk is worried. I said, yes, this is exactly right. All right, so Mark, but we were expecting at least a surge in young female vote. That was something that we were worried about. Did that manifest or materialize anywhere?
Well, there's no way to know because people rely on the exit poll, and I know from having used to work on the exit poll, and it's only gotten cheaper since then. You can't really say. But the proof's in the pudding, right? Donald Trump won the popular vote overwhelmingly. And on a qualitative side, on my platform, on Two-Way in the last couple of days, we've had young women who are pro-choice, who voted for Donald Trump, and their explanations of why they didn't vote for the pro-choice candidate helps explain, to the extent there was an under voting of young women, helps explain it. You can have been pro-choice and not voted for Kamala Harris, or not voted at all because it was not the energizing issue that the left and the press have said it was for a long time. There was evidence to think that it would be. But again, every day, folks come on our platform and explain why it wasn't for them.
So I'm sure there's a lot of finger pointing going around right now. Is there any evidence at all that Biden was, let's say, not as helpful as he could have been?
I don't think on purpose. I think he's limited in what he can do. It's why he wasn't any longer on the ticket. I think that there's one big story for each of the parties. For the Republican Party, it's that Donald Trump's realignment, as reflected in the not just his victory, but the nature of his victory. Again, don't like to overline the exit poll, but to say it's roughly directionally correct. Donald Trump got less of the white vote, but now has created a party of the working class, white, black, Hispanic, young, independent. That's an incredible story. And it's not clear that any other Republican could have done that or can take the mantle from him when he's done. But in the short term, Donald Trump has done something nobody thought was possible and put a lie to the notion that his appeal is to the, quote, extreme MAGA base. When you win the popular vote, you're not just appealing to the, quote, unquote, extreme MAGA base. That's an incredible story. On the Democratic side, it's their blindness. It's the mirror image of that. It's their blindness to Donald Trump's appeal. Oh, he can't win the popular vote. He's got a ceiling too low to win the battleground states. He talks, he's a racist, he's a fascist. He talks about issues that simply appeal to the extreme MAGA base. And I'm answering this in response to your question about the finger pointing. I wrote a piece the other day for FoxNews.com about this. Their first impulse is going to be say it's all Joe Biden's fault. He shouldn't have run at all. He should have gotten out sooner. He should have allowed time for there being competitive primary. Or it's all Kamala Harris's fault. She gave bad answers on The View. Those are part of the story. But the fundamental thing is the party has moved so far to the left on issues and is not able to appeal to the groups that Donald Trump did, very well with for a Republican. And so I no doubt that you're going to hear more stories both about what's happened in the past and what happens going forward between, if not Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, at least between their camps. But to me, the more the Democratic Party focuses on that, the less likely they are to figure out how to solve this, because what happened to them yesterday was a repudiation, not so much of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, although it was that too.
I agree with that.
But of the party's complete failure to understand how Donald Trump was eating their lunch in the center of the electorate.
And so, Mark, let me now just take a little detour here. One thing that was a good, I guess, unintentional op on their side was the Seltzer poll. We were feeling great until someone that I've been watching for a while came out with this poll and said Kamala up 3 in Iowa. You asked great questions on two-way, and you gave her a fair chance to go through it and all the crosstabs. Just help me just like clear the air. What the heck is all that, Mark? I mean, how do you have, a 16-point polling miss? I mean,
yeah. So look, Ann is my friend, and she was my pollster when I was at Bloomberg, and what I want to do is avoid people saying it was a conspiracy. She was trying to hurt.
No, I'm
Trump.
not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Well, I know you didn't. But when people bring this up, I wanted to make it clear it's not that. The best pollsters, no matter what methodology they use, 1 in 20 polls is going to be off. Okay, it's just the nature of how polling works, and it's figuring out who the electorate was going to be was very difficult this cycle because of COVID, because of Harris replacing Biden, et cetera. Trump always makes it difficult. So I think the fault is not in Ann, who had a faulty poll, and she's done an interview with the Register that published the poll in Des Moines, and people can listen to her explanation about it. The fault is not with Ann. The fault is with a consumer of polling, a culture of consuming polling, treating them there like predictions in the Rosetta Stone. They're not. And one poll that's an outlier, people should look at as either an outlier or on the cutting edge. Ann has done polls in the past that were outliers that turned out to be on the cutting edge. It showed where the thing had been heading and where it would be on election day. So Ann had a bad poll. She's had some bad polls in the past, but she's mostly had a record of accuracy that exceeds almost any other pollster in the country.
That is correct.
So if there's a bad poll, if Michael Jordan scores 6 points in a game, we don't say, well, who says Michael Jordan is a good basketball player? He only scored 6 points. We also don't say, well, now I know in the next game, Michael Jordan's not going to score more than 6 points. It's one poll. Polls can be off for a variety of reasons, even with the best pollsters with the best intentions. The problem, I'll say again, was not Ann's poll, even though it was off. The problem was the left saying, oh, this means Harris is going to win with Wisconsin, or the right saying, how outrageous that she's got a poll that's an outlier. That's what polls are like, a sophisticated appraisal of an outlier poll. And you hear that in my conversation with Ann, with whom my respect is, maybe it's telling us where it's headed, maybe it's an outlier. And that's it, and not treat it like some sabotage event or some inexplicable failure. Polls can be wrong with the best pollsters with the best intentions.